You guys, welcome to Sick of Pricks, a type 2 diabetes podcast. I'm Mary, your diabetes bestie, and today we're talking about something I know almost all of you have dealt with, even if you've never put these words to it: food guilt and the shame spiral that follows. Because if you've ever eaten something and immediately felt that heavy, sinking, ugh, why did I do that feeling in your chest, this episode is for you. Not because you're bad at food, not because you lack willpower, but because this pattern runs deep. Let me slow this down and see if this feels familiar. You eat something you weren't planning to eat. Maybe it's a cookie, maybe it's pizza, maybe it's not even a big deal, but your brain decides that it is. And the food itself isn't even that enjoyable because while you're eating it, you're already negotiating with yourself. You're already planning how you'll be better later. You're already replaying the choice in your head. And afterward, you're not even satisfied. You're just heavy. If you've ever thought, why can't I just be normal around food? You're not alone. And there's a reason why this keeps happening. Here's the thing a lot of people don't realize. Food guilt isn't something you randomly developed one day. It was taught. For a lot of us, it started early. Family rules around food. Clean your plate. Don't waste food. Dessert is a reward. Certain foods are saved for special occasions. Certain foods labeled bad. Maybe you grew up watching adults diet constantly. My grandmother was always on a diet, and not quietly. She talked about it non-stop. Calories, fat grams, sodium. Every meal came with a commentary about how whatever food she was eating fit or didn't fit into her strict guidelines. And when you grow up hearing that, you don't just learn information. You learn that food is something to monitor, control, and fear. Then there were comments about our bodies, about weight, about what someone should or shouldn't eat, and about how someone should or shouldn't look. And for me, this got personal pretty early. I went on my first diet when I was 15 years old, just after my grandfather died. Before he passed away, I can remember standing in my living room and him smacking my butt and saying, "Are you watching your ass?" I said yes, as teenage girls do and lie when they're confronted about their bodies. Like, why is that even a thing? I said yes, and he said, "Good, because I won't love you anymore." And I know he probably thought he was joking, but that moment was the moment I realized that my worth was tied to my size. I ate Special K and Lender's bagels with fat-free cream cheese for 3 months. I lost 20 pounds, and of course, I gained that 20 pounds right back when I went back to eating normally. Looking back now, that moment wasn't really about weight. It was about learning that love could be conditional, that my body could disqualify me from being worthy. And once that belief gets planted, food becomes charged. It's not just nourishment anymore. It becomes protection, control, and proof that you're trying hard enough. And then society piles it on top of that. Magazines, before and after pictures, moral language about food, heal your gut, detox your body, do this juice cleanse, earn your carbs, burn it off tomorrow. By the time diabetes enters the picture, that messaging gets even louder. Now food isn't just emotional. It's medicalized, watched, judged, commented on. So if you feel guilt or shame around food, it's not because you're oversensitive. It's because you were trained to associate food with worth. Let's talk about what this actually feels like. Food guilt is that pit in your stomach after eating, replaying the choice over and over, mentally calculating how you'll make up for it later. But food shame goes deeper. Shame sounds like, I should know better. I always mess this up. Why can't I be normal around food? Guilt says you made a mistake, while shame says you are the mistake. And once shame enters the picture, everything else escalates. So let's slow this down and talk about it in real time. You eat something that doesn't match the rules that you've been trying to follow, and guilt shows up first. It says, why did you do that? Then shame grabs the mic and says, What is wrong with you? You always do this. You have no willpower. Once shame is driving, logic goes out the window. Your nervous system gets activated, your body tightens, your chest feels heavy, you feel defeated like you blew it. And that's when the spiral starts. Because if you already failed, your brain tries to protect you from the discomfort by saying, well, today's ruined anyway. So you eat more, but it's not because you're hungry, it's because you're already punishing yourself. This is not a discipline problem. This is a learned survival response. If you live with diabetes, this hits differently because food choices don't just feel emotional. They feel like proof, like a grade, like evidence of whether you're doing this whole thing right or wrong. You eat something, your blood sugar responds, and suddenly it's not just I made a choice. It becomes I failed, I'm bad at managing this, I should know better and be better by now. Food shame with diabetes gets a lab coat. Now we have numbers and graphs and apps and data, and that pressure doesn't motivate people. It freezes them or it pushes them into extremes, rigid rules or total burnout. Neither of those things lead to peace because here's the truth. Shame does not create change. It creates fear. Fear creates avoidance. Avoidance creates inconsistencies. And you may have heard me say this before, but it's worth repeating. If beating yourself up worked, it would have worked already. What actually helps is safety, curiosity, and trust. And I know that sounds soft, and I know it sounds like woo-woo, butterflies and flowers or whatever, but it's not. It's practical, and we need practical, okay? So how do we get out of this spiral? Like, where's the exit sign? You're in a roundabout. I'm going to give you a few options, things that you can do to get out of this pattern that you're stuck in. The first way we exit is we pause the story. The first way out of the shame spiral is not about the food. It's not fixing the food. It's interrupting the story that you're telling yourself. So instead of saying, I shouldn't have eaten that, try, that's interesting. I'm feeling some sort of way about that choice. That pause doesn't excuse the choice. It creates space, and space gives you options. Second exit, separate food from your worth. You need a hard line here. What you ate is not who you are. You didn't lose progress or undo your health or fail your body. Food is just food, not a moral judgment. Third exit, ask yourself a better question. Instead of asking, why can't I control myself? Try asking, what was I actually needing in that moment? Was it more comfort, more permission, more rest, more flexibility? That question moves you forward. The first one just keeps you stuck. And the fourth exit, drop the all or nothing response. The spiral is not caused by the food. It's caused by what happens after. The moment you decide the day is ruined, you hand control over to shame. What if the next choice is neutral? What if the next meal is just the next meal and not what you're eating to make up for the choice from before? What if nothing actually needs fixing? That is the exit. What helped me most was realizing that food guilt kept me focused on control instead of trust. Before, I thought control meant safety, but now I understand that trust is what actually made my choices feel calmer. Not perfect, but much less reactive, less punishing. Consistency did not come from restriction. It came from self-respect. If you're in a shame spiral right now, please hear this. You are not broken or weak or failing. You're responding exactly the way you were taught to respond. And now you get to learn a different way because guilt will show up again. But next time you'll know how to pause, separate your worth from your plate, and walk yourself back out. All right, that's it for today's episode of Sick of Pricks. If this episode hit home, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps more than you know, and make sure these conversations reach the people who need them. And if you're tired of navigating food guilt, diabetes, and all the mental noise alone, come join my Facebook community, Sugar Mama Strong. It's a safe space for support, accountability, and real conversations about health, goals, and life without the side of shame attached. You'll find the link in the show notes. You can also follow along on Facebook and Instagram for more real talk, mindset shifts, and reminders that you're so much more than your numbers or your food choices. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.